welcome to episode, I think we're on episode 5 now of SDRs on Mars. I'm here with John Moon, and so John has agreed to join us here on SDRs on Mars, the show where we get to talk a little more about what being a salesperson is for different people in sales. So I don't want to explain too much about you, John. I'll let you take it away here for a second.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Jeremy. My name's John Moon. I'm business products lead here at Uvaro, which is a tech sales career accelerator. And business products lead, what that really means is I help connect our awesome pipeline of students, candidates to employers.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And so you've been working with, I believe it was Uvaro, and it was like a sister company of Uvaro, and now you're specifically with Uvaro, right?
That's right. Yeah. So our parent company, Kite, is a sales enablement software company. As Uvaro has really taken off, I've stepped into a role on the training side of the business as well.
Oh, that's cool. It's fun to like grow with a company who's growing, right? It's cool to see that progression.
Yeah, in fact, today is my 1-year anniversary.
Oh,
here, and I've gone through a lot of iterations. My role has evolved several times.
I would imagine, and I think for me, that's one of my favorite part about sales is that it grows very quickly in comparison to a lot of roles. And I mean, I think that's the name of the game, right? You have to kind of reiterate to reinvent yourself and be effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, even in like a traditional SDR AE role, I think the career progression is a lot faster than people would imagine if you kind of didn't have that insight. But 12 to 18 months from SDR to AE is pretty normal. So it's pretty rapid growth potential.
Yeah, awesome. So whereabouts is Uvaro headquartered?
Yeah, Uvaro is headquartered in Kitchener-Waterloo, which is just a little bit outside of Toronto. But we serve customers all over North America.
Okay, and you are not working out of Kitchener-Waterloo. Where are you working out of?
Yeah, I'm in Vancouver, British Columbia, so very much on the West Coast and 3 hours away from my teammates.
Nice. Okay, so there's a little bit of separation there. Have you worked remotely before, or like how does that whole experience feel for you?
Yeah, that's obviously something that's very topical these days. This is the first time I've worked fully remotely. I was a remote hire. Never met my team in person.
Wow.
Always had the plan that we would meet, but hasn't happened so far due to external causes. But yeah, it's been an interesting position.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I mean, I've enjoyed working with you so far. It's definitely, a nice connection for me to have as well. I think, working so close to that sort of tech sales boot camp, it kind of fits with what I'm looking for as well. So who are the people that you're typically trying to talk to when you're like, partnering with companies and things?
Yeah. So it depends on the org, but I would say typically in a smaller company, it might be somebody in a C-suite, like a CEO or a CRO. Maybe if it's a larger organization, I'm talking to heads of sales or like a head of people, talent acquisition folks. So it runs kind of the gamut.
Okay, cool. So I mean, what I'm building up to here is I want to hear your pitch, but I'm trying to figure out like who I should be. So let's say I'm the head of a sales department here at one of the companies that you're talking to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the value prop from Uvaro is typically what I hear from hiring managers for SDR roles is that you get a lot of noise to signal ratio, right? You get a lot of folks applying who maybe don't have a strong background in sales or don't know what it entails. And so, to cut through that noise, Uvaro grads are folks who are dedicated to the craft of sales. They have a deep understanding, not just of the SDR role, but of the AE role. So being able to serve up leads that are going to be relevant to them is very key. So I would say what we deliver in terms of a candidate pipeline are folks who cut through that noise and have that understanding.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And so at this point, I'm sure you've had those conversations a lot. What do you think is your most valuable sales tool?
Ooh, interesting. In terms of a technology, or do you mean like?
I'm gonna keep it broad. It can be technology if you want it to be technology. It can be like your smile if you want it to be your smile.
Fair enough. I think the biggest tool is being able to do a little bit deeper discovery. So having that honest conversation and seeing if they're a good fit. The biggest kind of leap between software sales and employer partnerships is that I don't print more people.
Right.
So I want to make sure that employer partnerships that we establish are fruitful ones.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what kind of, I'm sure you talk to a lot of people coming into this program, so you probably actually have a pretty good answer for this question. But what kind of advice might you have for someone looking to get into a sales role?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, I've spoken to a lot of folks who just don't have a solid idea of what sales entails. And I know there's kind of a stereotype of like the firm handshake and being able to schmooze folks. That's not how sales works anymore. It is a very process driven, really metrics driven job now, especially in B2B SaaS. So I would encourage folks to have that understanding so that they can be a competent candidate, not a competent one, but a candidate that hiring managers can believe in.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. It's I think the reality is, like, I talk to a lot of people that don't quite understand what they're interviewing for.
Yep, I hear that so many times on the employer side, but also from candidate side. Yeah.
Cool. And so, that's kind of, my snapshot around like what your role is or what you do a little bit, but I want to know sort of how you organize your time. Do you start your day with coffee? Do you start your day with tea? Do you take a shot of tequila? How do you do
Definitely not tequila, man.
it?
That would ruin me. Yeah, definitely caffeine. I run on caffeine, so like I mentioned, I am on West Coast, but I try to run mostly on kind of an East Coast time. So my day starts at 7 a.m. That means I'm at my desk by 7 a.m. So it does take a little bit of caffeination to get me started.
For sure, yeah. Okay, and when you're talking about caffeination, is there like a brand? You're like the Starbucks Blonde, like that's what gets me going, or like do you like all of the caffeine?
I used to be kind of there's a ethical coffee, and there's Kicking Horse that I really like.
Oh yeah.
Really nice coffees, but I found that because I'm in a volumes game, I've kind of gone down.
That's fair, yeah. That'll be the way it goes. I've heard of Kicking Horse though. I don't think I've actually tried it. You liked it?
They're excellent. Yeah, they're excellent. Kind of like a really solid mid-market kind of coffee.
Yeah.
Not like a super craft one, but like a very excellent mid-market.
Perfect. Okay, cool. And so after your day of connecting with sales managers and showing value and all of these fun things, how do you disconnect a little bit? How do you get out of that sales seat for a couple hours?
Yeah. So typically, my ways to unwind are video games, or I'm an avid cyclist, so I go cycling. I also go hiking. Living in Vancouver, I have pretty easy access to mountains. It's within about a 15-minute drive from my house. So all those things.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I haven't got my bike tuned up for the season yet, but that's on my list.
I ride year round. I mean, easier to do when it's a little bit warmer climate. But I used to live in Minnesota, so I know the challenges of winter biking too.
Right. Okay. Cool. Did you have like a bike with like the fat tires so you could like do the winter hauls?
I did.
Wow.
I would have kind of a junker bike,
Okay.
which after a couple of seasons of salt and snow, it does really wear on all the parts.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Cool. Any video games I should keep my eye out for?
I play a lot of Dota 2, which is just a really big time sink, and I hate it, but
It's like a love hate.
It is definitely a love hate. When you get those lows, they're really low, but when you get those like real highs, then you get that awesome dopamine.
Nice. Okay. That's Dota 2. That's old school of you, John.
It is. Oh man, I think I'm going on a decade playing that game. Jeez.
Awesome. Okay, so that pretty much brings us to my last question here. Pretty short and sweet for today. But what are you up to this summer? Like, what's next for you, John?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think there's a lot of question marks as to what I'll be able to do in Canada. Our vaccination hasn't rolled out quite as fast as down in the States, so big question marks. But I think generally all the outdoor things, got a big kayak trip coming up, hopefully. Yeah, and some hiking trips in the works.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the name of the game. Like, all the stuff that we've planned so far is like within the province kind of thing, and just like hiking and camping and all that kind of stuff. But I do see some cheap flights out to Vancouver right now, so that might be something that I do as well.
Well, it's hopefully the summer will be a better time. Definitely weather-wise, it's going to be awesome. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me today, John. If you guys are interested to connect with John, I'm going to tag him in this one, and you guys can follow that and connect with John yourselves. And I'm sure he'll be happy to show you the gambit.